Hello everyone, and this is Battle Phoenix here, and today is, well, it's October now, and usually that means that there's a lot of horror stuff related. As you can see, I'm pretty pumped up for this. I mean, I have my skeleton gloves on, I have a Slayer t-shirt, and then I have these wonderful candles, which are Christmas candles by the way, but that's all I got. And then, of course, there is my vodka bottle skull, which is fucking awesome looking. So for today's video, which is the first video I'm going to be doing for October, and we're going to be talking about some horror-related games, and I don't mean like the survival horror, I mean games that are like horror-related and have some horror settings, and we're going to be talking about some of them that I think are great, and I think are awesome to play within this month. So with that being said, let's go talk about some awesome horror games, or horror-related games, or whatever you want to call them. Actually, you know what? Fuck the setting. It's too fucking dark. There, is this better now? So I think it's essential that if you're going to play like any survival horror game, I think Resident Evil is a good way to go. I mean, we got start from Resident Evil 1 all the way to Resident Evil 4. I don't have 5 or 6, but usually people say these are the better ones. But I don't mind those ones as much. I mean, they're not like great games, but they're okay. But I think these ones are like the more core like survival horror, where this is where it all started with Resident Evil 1. And I've also just realized I actually own all these games on all different platforms. Weird how that worked, but either way though, so for Resident Evil 1, definitely a great one, has a lot of great characters. I mean, you got Jill Valentine, and then you got Chris Redfield, and I always liked using Jill's story a lot better. I don't know why, I always liked that one. And of course with the iconic scene when you first see the zombie, great fucking shit. And then as for Resident Evil 2, this was one that I always really liked a lot, like ever since I played it, and not only that, but I also really liked Leon's campaign, although after when you beat his campaign, you actually get to play as Claire's campaign, and that one's really fun too. It actually plays a lot different too, which I really like that. And of course, the other thing I really liked about Resident Evil 2 is that, like, there's just so much, like, stuff to explore into it. It was definitely, like, a better improvement of the first one, but of course the first one is still great. And then as for Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, that one is one that I really do find it is a bit underrated. I mean, usually a lot of people like to talk about the first or the second one, and not many people talk about this one as much in comparison, but I do think this one is pretty great. I mean, I do like the whole Nemesis character. I mean, I think he's badass as fuck. And not only that, but the other thing that I really like is that the game, like every time you start a new game, it pretty much feels really different every time you play it. Now, what I mean by that is like usually Nemesis's spawn points are always going to be different, like every time you play, which does make things more interesting, and making it, well, maybe not necessarily more replay value, but more like the game is always going to have somewhat of a different experience every time, which is something that you don't see too often in games. And then as for Resident Evil 4, which is the one that usually people like to say is the last, like, survival horror Resident Evil game, because this one does have a lot of action in it. And, well, I do think the action in it is great, and it also does have a lot of great settings and all that good stuff. And also, Leon in this game, he's not as much as a rookie, where now he's actually, like, trying to be all, like, cool and stuff, but it's actually funny, though. Like, he's actually, like very humorous about it. And of course, he can actually do some wrestling moves on the zombies, which are pretty funny. But yeah, no, this one's definitely really good. I mean, no matter which version you play, I think is really good. I know the Wii version of it's actually really fun. Really wish I had that one, but oh well, the PS2 version is good enough as it is. But yeah, seriously though, any Resident Evil game works fine by me. Fatal Frame. Man, oh man, this is a great series, and yeah, I know I'm missing number 1, but that's okay. At least I got 2 and 3. And I'm having fun with this, because both of these games are great. Although a lot of people like to say that the second one is the best one entirely, but from what I have played, I will have to agree that the second one is better than the third one. But that doesn't mean that the third one is complete crap. I actually think the third one is actually a pretty good one. But it is, like, a lot harder, though. At least I can never get far through it, though. But it was a pretty good one. So anyways, Fatal Frame. It's a series that usually is... Now, when I say this, it's going to sound really dumb, but pretty much it's a series where you're using a girl who has a camera, and you have to take pictures of ghosts to, like, try and, like, fend them off you by using a camera. Now, yeah, when I say it like that, it sounds fucking dumb, but when you're actually playing it, man, these games can actually be quite freaky. And they also have a really good atmosphere, which I really like that a lot. really goes to show you that Tecmo can actually do a really good job with some survival horror shit. So yeah, definitely very, very good series of games. I really enjoyed them a lot. They're actually one of my top favorite games from Tecmo, and not only that, but they're also some of my top favorite survival horror games up there, along with Resident Evil as well. So yeah, awesome shit right here. Now, if I'm going to be talking about some survival horror games, how can I forget to talk about Silent Hill? I mean, Silent Hill is definitely a very iconic series, and yes, I know I don't have the first, or I don't have the fourth one, but I do have the third one, the first one on my PS3. So I have played it, and I have got pretty far through it, and it's definitely great. Well, actually, the whole series is just great from what I have played. I haven't played the fourth one, but a lot of people say that one isn't as good, but of course, I'll have to play that when I get to it. But yeah, Silent Hill, definitely fucking great stuff. I mean, like, I really like the whole, like, foggy mist, like, atmosphere, and I also like the fact that that they both have, like, really good music. Like, in fact, they actually have, like, a lot of the songs, like, I know in this one that has the song, Promise, I think it's called, where it's, like, you know, it has, like, the guitars and whatnot. I think that's fucking great. Really good stuff here, and, not only that, but, one thing that was also interesting about the Silent Hill series in general is that I actually found that the first movie that they did back in 2006 was actually not that bad. It was probably one of the better video game movies that they've made. So, hey, at least that's fucking good. But yeah, no, definitely a really good series here, and I mean, if you never played any of these, well, at least try and get them for October because they're fucking amazing. So, yeah, now there's a lot of other games that I could talk about that are survival horror, but the thing is, I'm only going to mention my three favorites, being Silent Hill, Fatal Frame, and Resident Evil, but don't worry, I'll do some honorable mentions of some survival horror games. So for now, we're going to be continuing on to some games that are not survival horror, but have a lot of horror themes related to them. So, yeah, let's get moving on. So the first non-survival horror game that's good to play around Halloween time is none other than Castlevania. Now, I know I only have the first one and the fourth one on cartridges, but I do have Symphony of the Night on my PS3, which is a different type of Castlevania game, but I'll get into that in a second. So the original series is definitely really good stuff. I mean, it's good platforming, that it's also very difficult. Where, you know, all you have to do is that you're using Simon Belmont, which, no, not the cigarette company, but you have to kill Dracula. Fucking good shit. And then as for Symphony of the Night, which I don't have it here, but that one actually does play very differently, where yes, it still has the action platforming, but it's also like a maze, kind of like Metroid. A lot of people call that term Metroidvania. Now, I know some people get pissed off whenever you say, like, it's like, oh, like, well, Metroidvania, that sounds dumb. Well, yeah, it may not be, like, the most, like, smartest word ever, but, I mean, what the fuck else would you want to call it? But either way, though, definitely a really good game of series. In fact, last year, I actually beat this game for the first time, and it was actually the first Castlevania game I ever beat. I'm very proud of myself for that, and I know it's the easiest one out of, like, all the platforming ones, but still, like, I'm normally not very good at these games, but I was still proud of that. So yeah, definitely Castlevania is a necessity to play on every October, at least for me. So another Konami title, yeah, it seems like Konami's actually pretty good with making horror-related things, and that is Zombies Ate My Neighbor on the Super Nintendo. Now this game is great, especially playing with two players. Yes, you can actually play this game with two people, which also makes this game a lot more fun. So all you got to do is that you got to go around, shoot a bunch of zombies, and save a bunch of people, and you get points. And of course, the one that is worth the most points is a cheerleader, of fucking course. But yeah, this game, I really like the graphics. It's very cartoony-like, and it's really fun. In fact, that's just the whole thing about this game. The game is just fun. Like, it's just good time fun, and not only that, but I also really like the level design is pretty cool too. Like, I remember there's like that one level with the hedges, and then you have like that like Jason Voorhees with a chainsaw running after you. Pretty great stuff. And of course the giant baby boss is also kind of a weird thing, but I mean, at least it's just good, funny cartoon humor kind of thing, which is what this game is really all about. I think it is, like, it's a very good cartoony humor game, and I think that's something I think we really do need more of in this day and age. Kind of unfortunate they never made another Zombies Ate My Neighbor, but of course they could have called it, like, I don't know, like, Zombies Ate, like, my something, I don't fucking know. But either way, though, Definitely worth checking out and definitely worth playing for this month. Now the next game we're going to be talking about is a first-person shooter on the Xbox called Dark Watch. Now this is a game I've only played this year, and I can tell you that this game is really fun. Now, like, the whole point of the game is that you are a cowboy named Jericho Cross, and you have to join a secret society to go kill off some demons to save the world. Pretty good stuff, and not only that, but I really like the weapons, and I also really like that everything is so dark, and all the demons have a really cool design to them, so yeah, I definitely say this is definitely a horror-related game. Now, of course, it's not, like, the most, like, darkest game that you'll ever play, but it's definitely a really good game, and it's definitely something that does get a bit overlooked at times, so yeah, definitely this game is a lot of fun. Totally recommend it. If you like first-person shooters anyway, this game I can totally recommend it to you. And, of course, if you have a regular Xbox. I don't think this game was actually on any other console, and just so you know, the game was not developed by Capcom, but it was just published by them. But still interesting to note that they actually published a game like this. Pretty good stuff. Wish they would make another one, but oh well, maybe someday. Now we're going to get into another favorite of mine, and of course this is a series I've been just getting into this year, and that happens to be the Shadow Hearts series, which I've only have 1 and 3, and there's also the one on PS1 called Kudoka, which I do not have yet. But I would mostly recommend playing the first one for this month, mainly because it's all dark and gritty and it's just fantastic. I really love the battle system, the characters are great, and it's just overall just a really good RPG, and unfortunately it does get overlooked, but however, the game is fucking great. Now the third one is a bit more on the campy side. In fact, I don't mind that myself, but of course in comparison to the other one, this one is a lot better, but this one does have some really good gameplay elements, which I really like that a lot, but the game overall is just, compared to this one, it's really fucking weird, but it has some pretty good stuff going on, but of course, it's not as dark, and not only that, but yeah, it's just a lot of, like, weird, goofy shit, which is funny, and it is entertaining, but of course, this one, I think, is a much better game, at least, of course, when it comes to, like, horror-related stuff. I mean, a lot of the enemies in this game are really fucking bizarre looking. Like, I remember there's, like, this one monster thing where it's, like, a white, like, thing, like, baby head, and then has, like 2 arms, and it has, like, a little, like, weird penis thing. I don't fucking know. It's fucked up, but either way, though, it's just one of those memory things that I'll always remember about this game, because it just has some really screwed up enemies. Also, the music in these games are both great. Even this one actually has some pretty dark sounding songs too, like the battle theme is just amazing. Same thing with this one too. The battle theme in this one is also fucking great. So yeah, overall, a really good dark and gritty RPG series, which is something you don't see very often. Now we're going to be taking a look at a first-person shooter on the GameCube, which is very unique, and not only that, but this game is just unique in general, and it's called Geist. Now, I did a review on this game around when I first started doing reviews, and while the review wasn't great, but I will still stick by with one thing that I did say about the review, is that this game is still awesome. Now, the one thing about this game that is unique is that you're actually playing as a guy named Raimi, I think his name is, and you go on a mission, and then you die. And then when you die, you come back as a ghost, and then when you're as a ghost, you can start possessing things and then scare the shit out of people, and then you can possess into them and do whatever the fuck you want. It's pretty good stuff. And not only that, but this game's multiplayer is awesome. I mean, not only can you have like bots and stuff and have like different team stuff, but there's also different game modes too, which are all hell of a lot of fun. Also, I find the ghost girl that you meet in this game, her name's Gigi, I find her to be really creepy. But yeah, this game definitely has it, like, has a lot of, like, creepy aspects to it, and it's also just a really good, solid first-person shooter. Really wish they made another one, but, I don't know. Hopefully Nintendo can get the rights from the company that made this. Another series of games I can recommend playing for this month is the Medieval series, which is an exclusive title to PlayStation. I only have the second one physically, but I do have the first one on my PS3. So, yeah, this was also one of those games I remember I grew up playing. I remember playing the hell out of it on a demo disc, and, well, I think the game is fucking great. It kind of reminds me of, like, a 3D version of, like, Ghosts and Goblins, but just not nearly as fucking hard. But, it also has a really cool, like, setting of things. Like, I really like the graveyard, the pumpkin patch, and all that good stuff. And also the The music in the game is also really cool as well. It's not like atmospheric per se, but it just has a really cool like Halloween theme, which I always found this game to has that like feel really well. I mean, like Sir Daniel, who is the main character you use, he was a soldier who died, and I found his skull head, it kind of looks like a pumpkin to me. I don't know why it does, but it was always one of those things that I always thought of. But either way, though, it's definitely a really good series, and I wish Sony would revive it. I have heard rumors that they might, but I'm not sure if that's true. But hopefully it is, because this series is long forgotten. But I was actually surprised they even put the character into PlayStation All Stars. Oh yeah, the Deception series, the one that I talk about quite a lot on this channel. But yeah, what can I say? I mean, I fucking love this series so much. I mean, it's just so unique, and of course, I always recommend it to people if you want to play something that's very different. But just in case, if you don't know what this is, if you haven't heard about it already from me, is that it's a game that usually you play as a character. Most of them you play as females, except for the first one, and I know this is not in order because I have so damn many of them. But yeah, usually you play as a character who ends up getting stuck in a shitty situation, and then you have to get stuck in a castle, and then when you get stuck in that castle, there's people always coming after you, and the way how you have to defend yourself is by setting traps. It's very unique. I really love the gameplay aspects, and of course, the games are usually pretty dark, and they usually have to do with something related to the devil. And I know in the first one you actually have to resurrect the devil, so you know that's pretty Halloweeny enough for me. Or just really like darker and all that shit. Also, the music in these games are actually pretty eerie at times. I really like that a lot. In fact, I just love pretty much almost everything about this series. It's just like it knows what like it is like kind of goofy at times, especially like the naming of the characters. But man, it's definitely a great time, and I definitely would say it's definitely a great series to play. I always at least try playing one of them during Halloween. Parasite Eve is definitely another unique game on the PlayStation, and that happens to be a mix of survival horror. Yeah, no, I said I wasn't going to talk about any survival horror games, but this one has a mix of RPG elements, which makes it very interesting. Now, the one thing about another thing about Parasite Eve that makes it this interesting is that this game actually takes place on Christmas. So pretty much it's almost like, okay, well, what the fuck is it, like a Christmas game, or is it a Halloween game? You know, I just say the game is just so awesome that it's worth playing both times, because, I mean, like I already said, this game is great. Not only is it because it's very unique, but it has a lot of great atmosphere, and of course it has like a really great characters and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a very recommendable series. There's the second one that's also on PlayStation 1. I've never played that one, but apparently it's set in a desert, which is kind of weird, but whatever. And then there's a third one, which is only on PSP, but I never played that one. But apparently, according to a lot of people I've heard, apparently that game is not good at all. But I would like to try it out myself just to see. Because I'm curious. Because, I mean, how can you fuck up something like this anyway? Especially that it's made from Squaresoft, you know, when they were, like, really, really, really good. Although they have been doing better nowadays, but still, you know, I just always want them to be good when they can be. Alice Madness Returns was a series, well, it was a game that started out on the PC, but then they made a newer one on the PS3 and 360 called Alice Madness Returns. It's the only one I own, but I have played the PC game many years ago. And let me tell you, this game is pretty freaky. Now, it's not a survival horror, it's actually an action platformer, and not only that, but it's based after the story Alice in Wonderland, but it's like all dark and gritty and shit. It's pretty great. In fact, this is a game that I really, really like a lot. It's probably one of the best games that EA ever put out that was, like, as of recently. And I really like the setting. I like the art style. The art style is just like really, really good. Kind of something that Tim Burton would make. And not only that, but yeah, it's just a really good game, and I totally would recommend it if you can. I mean, it's just good action, good platforming, and just really cool settings. I mean, have you ever like read the story of Alice in Wonderland? I mean, for one, if you know, the person that actually wrote the book for Alice in Wonderland pretty much wrote it while he was high on like pretty much every single drug, and then after he published it, he died. Yeah, it kind of makes it a bit creepier when you think about it. Yep, we're going to be talking about a movie license game, and it happened to be a movie license of a game that was made a few years after the release of the movie, and that is Nightmare Before Christmas. Now that's the same thing like Parasite Eve. When do you play this game, during Halloween or by Christmas? I say fuck it, whenever. But seriously though, this game is actually quite good, surprisingly. I mean, you'd think that this game would be kind of shitty because it's like, wow, like a movie license game for a movie that was made like 10 years ago at least. It's like, yeah, like how could you go wrong? Well, believe it or not, the game was actually developed by Capcom and it actually has the engine of Devil May Cry, believe it or not, which is pretty cool. And you may be thinking like, wow, really? Yeah, it's actually quite a good game. Now, it's not like as good as Devil May Cry, but it's definitely very interesting in that way. And also, I just love the movie Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's a great one. So yeah, it's definitely a very good game. I have the Xbox version, it's also on PS2, and there is also a Game Boy Advance game that this one is based after, and that one actually plays like a Metroidvania kind of game, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas, I would definitely say it's a hidden gem on the in that era, and at the same time, it's actually a good game to play during Halloween. I mean, come on guys, it's Nightmare Before Christmas. If you know what the movie is, I'm sure you know that what it's about. So I'm going to take a look at one more game that I would recommend you guys to play, and this is the only one that I have a physical version of, and that happens to be Doom. But this is the N64 version. I actually have a digital version of Doom on my PS3, which is like has like a whole bunch of Doom games and all the expansion packs, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Doom, I mean, it's a very iconic first-person shooter. It's also like, you know, easy access. I think you can actually download it for free on the computer, if I remember right. I think it's a freeware game now, but I could be wrong on that. But either way, though, I mean, come on, if you haven't played Doom before, I'm sure you know something about it. But yeah, no, Doom, like, you know, obviously it's about, like, the Marine, and you have to go to hell and come back and just kill everything. Awesome stuff. Also, you know, the fact that it has like a lot of music in the game, and one thing that is interesting to talk about with the music is that the person that wrote it was also a lawyer, and if you've realized that some of the songs sound very similar to songs that you know, some of them might be from like Slayer, which I'm wearing the shirt of right now, or ones from like Metallica or Alice in Chains. I think he did a song that did sound somewhat to an Alice in Chains song. Well, pretty much since because he's a lawyer and he knows like the extent of how like a song would be copyrighted or not, well, he pretty much took some of those songs but changed them just enough so he wouldn't get sued. Yeah, it's pretty interesting when you know about that. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool facts about Doom that are pretty interesting that not many people would look into. So yeah, Doom, definitely great. So for right now, I'm going to talk about some honorable mentions that I'll go by through quickly, and here are some of them. So we got Clock Tower, Siren, Ghost and Goblins, any of the Shin Megami Tensei games, Swagman, Eternal Darkness, System Shock, Sweet Home, Dead Space, Darkseid, Splatterhouse, Rule of Rose if you can actually find the damn game, and lastly I'll mention is Obscure. I wonder if the game Obscure is considered as obscure. Wouldn't that be funny? So that's all like the horror related games I'm going to be mentioning within this video. So yeah, hopefully I might have said some of them that would make sense with this. I mean, it makes sense to me. I'm sure it would make sense to other people, but either way though. So maybe you guys could suggest some other horror games I didn't mention because, you know, there's like a shit ton of them. So yeah, so this was definitely a fun video to make, and not only that, but October is one of my favorite times of the year because Halloween just rocks. I mean, totally, man. So yeah, so without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, commenting, and one more thing before I end it. Wait, I know I'm just delaying the inevitable here, but I'm going to be showing you a preview of what my next review will be, and it is, well, we're going to have to play with some dick.